Welcome to our 11th lesson, Principles of Programming QBasic for Module 2. Today's segment, as you can see on your screen, we'll be looking at input statements in QBasic, and that is what we'll be looking at, input statements in QBasic. Objectives. At the end of this lesson, participants will understand the following. What is input statement? Syntax of the input statement, and that's what we'll be looking at in what's today's lesson, being lesson 11. Now today is going to be awesome, and without wasting my time, let's get started. So first, what is input statement? In QBasic, user input is primarily obtained using the input statement. This statement allows the program to pause execution and wait for the user to type data from the keyboard, which is then stored in a specified variable that you must know. So the question here is this: what does this mean? When they say in QBasic, user inputs is primarily obtained using the input statement, and then went ahead by saying that this statement allows the program to pause execution, and which would allow the user to type the data from the keyboard, which this data is stored in a specified variable. So don't worry, we are going to look at this practically, which means that when you run the program is then going to ask the user to type whatever that the program will prompt the user respond to what he should type. Then after that, when the user then provide what data, the input that the program is asking the user, then the program will go ahead to execute that input, and then to display the output of the input that the user provided, and that data is stored in a specified variable that you must know of. Having said that, the next thing we'll be looking at is syntax of the input statement. What about syntax of the input statement? This refers to how the input statement is being used, how this input statement is being used. So as you can see on your screen, we have inputs and we have the prompt, which is the string. So the prompt become the string simply mean that you requesting data from the user, like input your first name. So that becomes a prompt message that is prompting the user should input his or her first name, and the variable name becomes the data that the user is going to input. That becomes the variable name. So that name that the user will provide will be assigned to the variable. Don't worry, we'll be looking at that practically for you to better study to understand. Having said that, so when we talk about input itself, what is input? Now this keyword initiates the input operation. So this means that the initiation of the input operation simply means it will prompt the user and request the user to provide the information that the program is requesting from the user. That is what we mean by the key word initiate the user with operation, the word input. Now this syntax simply means we are explaining the syntax for you to understand. So that is what it's all about, that you must know of. So as we can see on the screen, the next one we'll be looking at is prompt string, which is optional. Prompt string, which is optional. Now when I say the prompt string is optional, before we look at it, this is optional because depending on what you are requesting, if you're writing your program, you can choose to request a person's first name or a person's date of birth, or enter your full name, or enter the name of your school. So it's optional depending on the data you want to collect from the user. I sure I getting it. So now what is prompt string, which is optional? What is prompt string, which is optional? So bear in mind that this is a string letter enclosed with with double quotation mark that is displayed to the user before they enter their data. So these prompt string, they are string letters, okay, that's comes with a double quotation mark, okay, that display to the user before the user would then enter his or her data. That you must know of. What you must also know is that the inputs, okay, the prompt string, which is optional, what it does, it serves as a guide and inform the user what kind of input is expected. So example, I can say I can run the program, and then the program will just run, and then the prompt message will say enter your first name. So me saying enter your first name, that's prompt message that display by saying enter your first name becomes a prompt string. So that serves as a guide or informing the user, okay, what kind of input is expected, what kind of input the programmer or the program is requesting from the user. I shall get in. So here the whole concept is we understanding the syntax of how the input statement is being executed. Okay, the syntax of how the input statement is executed. As we've explained what really the input does, now we are looking at what the prompt string also does. Now we understand what the input does and what the prompt string also does, being an optional. Let's move to the next thing. Now, as you can see on the screen, now on the syntax, respond to the syntax of how to use the prompt, we will be coming across something very interesting. And someone will ask, what is that thing that will be coming across? In the program, we'll be coming across something we call some quotation mark or semicolon. Okay, semicolon. Now what does that mean, or what does that does? Okay, so if semicolon followed by the prompt, okay, prompt string, simply saying that, let's say I will say input. Let me just demonstrate that for you to understand. I may say input, okay, input, okay, input, and I'll say quotes, and I'll say enter, okay, enter. Don't worry, we'll be looking at this practically, but I just want to explain this. Enter, okay, your name, okay, your name, and I'll close the quote. So this is the prompt message that is going to display when we run the program. So after the prompt message, you can see that we will be having, you bring semicolon. Now this semicolon, what this semicolon does is that, you see, after the prompt, okay, and then the semicolon followed by the prompt, as I've been said, and then a quotation mark, simply put, like a quotation mark or a question mark, okay. Then after the prompt, we have a question mark and a space. So we're going to bring the semicolon, okay. What will happen is that the program will automatically bring a space, okay. It's going to bring a space in between before the variable name, okay, the input that's the user will then provide. I shall get in it. So that is the use of the semicolon. So anytime you're writing a program, so after the prompt and there's a semicolon, this simply means that we want a space should be automatically displayed in between the question that the person, the user has inputted. I shall get in. So basically that is just that. So having explained that, what is a variable name? Yes, we talk about variable and we know what really a variable is. Now a variable name, bear in mind that this is the name of the variable which the user, okay, the users will input when, okay, which will be stored in the program. That you must know of. It's very, very important. So that is what a variable is. Let me take that again. So I'm saying that this is the name, okay, of the variable which the user's input will be stored. So when the user, when I saying that, if you could remember when we were looking at converting an expression, where we said convert the basic expression in lesson 10, when we said, we went ahead by saying that a, okay, a is what is equal to 1. So the 1 becomes the data which is assigned to a. So anywhere we see a, we will see what? We will see 1. So a is known as 1. So when the user then provide an input pertaining to what you have provided, that input will be stored in that variable that you have provided, whether it is string, whether it is what? It is integer, pertaining to what program you are writing and how you want the program to execute for you, and how you want to create the program to facilitate a task. Remember, as a programmer, you are building a program to solve problem. So basically, this is what the syntax is all about, and come think of it, the syntax has been explained. Having said that, then let's dive to the next section by looking at it practically. As you can all see on your screen, this is what we dealt with respond to converting the basic expression. So I'll go ahead and then press enter and save this program as, let's say, converting or anything, depending on how you want to save it. To save it, I'll click on file and go ahead and click on save as, and I'll put a cursor here and backspace that. And I'm going to call it convert pro, okay, just something like that. And I'll go ahead and click on OK. Then after that, I'll click on file and click on new. So now we want to then look at an example of how to use an input statement in QBasic to write a program. So for me to write a program, I'm going to simply write a basic program to request an input of users to just input their name, and after that I want the program should echo their name and then tell, let's say, nice to meet you, something like that. To do that, first I'll go ahead and clear the screen. And after clearing the screen, what I will do again is that I must declare, okay, the variable. You can choose to use the let, or you can choose to use the dem. So let's use the dem. So I'll say dem, and I'll say first name. So first name as string. Then I'll say dem again, where I'll say last name, also as string. Done. So after doing this, now I'll have to initiate my input statement, where I'll say input, where I'll bring the code. So the prompt message, what I would like to prompt the user, responding to what I want the user to input, is what I'm typing. So I'm going to say input, enter, okay, first name. Then I'll bring the quotation mark and close my quote and bring my semicolon. So remember that I gave a name, okay, the variable is string, which is first name. So I have to just type first name there, like that. So I'll go by saying first name. So whatever the user will input at the first name, okay, that is going to be seen as first name. Okay, so you can see, so input. So enter, this will be the prompt message, enter first name, and the user will type his or her first name, and that what the user will type will be stored in what? In the first name, being the variable I've assigned. Okay, then after that, I want to request another input. So I'll go ahead by saying input. Then I'll bring my prompt, which is in the quotes, and I'll say enter last name, which also be in the quotes and with my semicolon. Then I'll go again and type last name. Done. So that is how it's going to be. Then after that, I'll go by saying the program should print. The program should print, let's say in quote, and say so let's say when I type, when the, okay, let's say you should print let's say first name. So you should print first name. So you should print my name and then tell me let's say first name by saying that nice to meet me. So first name. So you should print first name, and then I bring a semicolon because I want to create a space in between. So I bring a quote, space, close the quote, and bring my semicolon again, and I'll say you should go ahead and say what again? Last my last name. That with T here, I made a mistake, so I want to correct that. The last, okay, so last name. So here I did not bring my T here, last name, so you must make sure that you always correct that, okay, because this is how I declared it. I made it LAST, so I must make sure that it is the same last name. And after that, I'll go ahead and then bring my my semicolon. Then I'll bring my quote, so last name, then to my quote, then I'll say nice to, okay, let's make it in the sentence case. So nice to meet you. So depending on what you want, nice to meet you, then I'll close the quote. So when I press enter, this simply means that when I run the program, let's say that enter my first name and I'll type Prince. Enter, the program will ask again, enter your what's your last name, or type Armstrong. Then after, the program is going to read Prince Armstrong, nice to meet you, something like that. Let's look at how that is being done. So I'll just go ahead and click on run and click on start, and let's wait for that. So you could see the program here is asking or enter first name. So I'm going to type Prince and press enter. Then to ask me again, enter last name. So I'm going to type Armstrong. So the last name that is asking me, you can enter first name, enter last name. That is a prompt message. Okay. So you can see that I was saying that when you bring the semicolon, it's going to bring a space in between. So it has automatically bring the space before the question mark. So Armstrong. So I'm typing that. So Armstrong, and press enter. And it will say, you can see here it said Prince Armstrong, nice to meet you. Now you can see that when you watch here very carefully, the nice to meet you is joining, okay, is joining the Armstrong. Okay, so let's press enter and fix that. So for us to fix that, we must bring a space in between the last name and the nice to meet you. So for how do we do that? Put a cursor here, in here, and bring your quote, open quote, space and close quote, and bring your semicolon like that. And then go ahead and let's run it again. Click on start and click on run and click on start, and let's wait for that. Then as you can see, the program is asking of what? Enter my first name. So I'm going to say Prince and press enter, and it said enter your last name. I'm going to say Armstrong, and I'll press enter, and the program will go ahead, Prince Armstrong, nice to meet you. Okay, so basically that is just that, and that is how you can then use the input as we've been explaining that. Now the prompt message you see here, the prompt becomes the what, as you can see here we have what, enter first name. That becomes the what, the prompt message, and after the what, the semicolon, it automatically brings a space and then prints, and then to prompt again, which is the second what prompt, which is the input statement that I'm requesting from the user, is what is my last name, and I enter my last name, and I said if the user then provided his or her first and last name, the program should go ahead and read what my first and last name and go ahead and say nice to meet me. So basically that is just that, and as always, that is just that, and I just said it twice.
Armstrong at Training and Software Hub, we're leading the way. Bringing our ICT to your doorstep every day. Where vision meets excellence, we stand strong, transforming students where they belong. Armstrong at Training. Armstrong at Training.